It's Reddit bingo time, and I apologize in advance. I'm going to be drinking a lot of water in this video. There's probably going to be more cuts than normal because my throat is really dry. I'm at the tail end of a cold, and I'm not loving it. But this is when I have to film, and it's Reddit bingo time, and I just spent most of my morning putting together my TBR, putting together my recommendations, and I'm just excited to go through it with you guys. For those who are new here, Reddit bingo is from r/fantasy subreddit. They've been doing it for years. You don't have to get a blackout, but a lot of people like to try. You don't have to do hard mode, but again, it's kind of fun to strive for that. So I give recommendations and put my TBR together with the goal of hard mode. I think last year I got like 19 out of the 25 squares or 20 out of 25. This year I might be more lined up to do well. We'll see. So you don't have to black out though. You can get a row, column, diagonal. If you want to hang out with some people, my Discord is public, and a lot of people like to show their progress throughout the year. They like to share their TBRs. We like to ask questions. It's a fun thing, and I like that it's year-long because I can't usually do hyper-specific readathon prompts in a month. But over a whole year, I read enough that I feel like I can participate, and it's challenging. It's a good blend for me. I also like to use the story graph. So the story graph is really nice because you can put books that you plan to read, but it won't mark them as read until you've marked them as read within the time period. So this starts April 1st of this year and will end March 31st of last year. So let's get into it. The first prompt is trans or non-binary protagonist. Hard mode is it's not modern time, it's in the past, historical. So I have two recommendations, and one is not hard mode, but I couldn't resist. So my first one's No Gods, No Monsters, which one of the main characters is a trans man. Very fun, and he is in all three books. So if you want to read any of the books in the series, he's there. But the one that actually works for hard mode is The Sapling Cage, where it has a trans woman. She's a young witch, and it has that classic, like, historical setting we associate with fantasy things. And the one that I'm going to read is Notes from a Regicide. This has been shouted at me by one of my friends, Di. It's historical, alternative history, sci-fi. So I do want to get to it. I actually don't know if it's a trans man or woman. I just know it's a trans main character. There are also a host of others I could give you regardless of hard mode. I have a video with a bunch of trans books that I'll link down below. So if you're looking for other books, I do have a whole video of those. I just don't know how many of them are historical or not. The next square we're going to skip over because it's judge a book by its title. And this is actually going to be a struggle for me, but like I can't help you. The whole point is you pick a book based off the title, and you shouldn't know anything about it. So me talking to you about a book, not helpful. And I never pick up books like this. I pick up books because I'm doing it for planned reading, or I've been listening to a bunch of people, and so when I go out browsing for books, I pick them up based off what I've heard. It's very rare that I buy a book just based off the title, so I'm going to have to see how I'm going to incorporate that into my reading life this year, but it'll be a fun challenge. I have my local bookstore, so we'll see what browsing does. Translated's really fun. So it's a story translated from a language that you do not read or speak, and hard mode is translated within the last 5 years. So my recommendations, I have one in Spanish and one in Portuguese. I've got Our Share of Night. That's in Spanish. It's a horror. It's long. So if you want something shorter, she has her short story anthology or collection that's out, but I just love Our Share of Night. Is it indulgently long? Is a chapter 300 pages? These are all true. I love it. It's on my shelf right over there, and it brings me joy to see it every day. The other one is a novella, but not too bold. This is Portuguese, and it's really good, and it's short, so if you're looking for something short. The one I'm going to read, because I didn't want to pick Spanish, because although I'm not fluent in Spanish, I can read it, and I do speak it at least once a month. And so I picked, actually, in the wild, I picked out a book not because of its title, but because it was a Japanese fantasy translation. And I was like, man, I never see these. And it's called Cocoon. I don't know if this is how you pronounce it. I don't have an ear for Japanese sounds. But it seemed really cool. I liked the first page of the translation. The cover is stunning. It's French flaps. It came home with me. So that's probably going to be my pick because it's on my physical TBR. Next up is small press or self-published, hard mode being less than 100 ratings on Goodreads or by an author from a marginalized group. So my recommendations are from marginalized authors from small presses, because that's easier for me. It's what I've typically read. One is Ocean's Gadori or Tio's Darumi. Both of these are from Zando Publishing, so it's not one of the big 5 publishers. I adore this duology. It's also a duology. I'm not going to bring up every duology, but if you're looking for a duology, this is a duology. Spoiler alert for future prompts. I also have Bitter Medicine. This is a standalone that I really like. I think it's Tachyon is the publisher. And both of the authors that I've just mentioned are marginalized identities. The one I'm going to read, because I actually kickstarted this book. So it is self-published, and it currently doesn't have like any ratings on Goodreads, so I need to get to it soon, although I don't think that many people are reading it, but it's Jen Lyons' science fiction called Full Negative. So I have this. I bought it, and it came to me. I simply need to read this book. If I miss out on it, I'll go find another book to read that works, but that's currently like on my TBR and my actual plan. Next up is Unusual Transportation. There's a lot of caveats for this, so just trust me when I say that the Ship of Magic works, and you should read the Ship of Magic. Okay? Ship of Magic. Cool. The one I'm picking, because I went through the Reddit boards, and it's on my physical TBR, and you're all going to roll your eyes at me, because gosh, how many TBRs have I put this book on? But it's The West Passage. And I was told that it works for hard mode, and so I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it this year. Manifesting it. I will read this book. All right, next up is the Afterlife Square, which honestly for me was my hardest square. So if you have recommendations for me, sound off in the comments down below. But this is deals with the afterlife. You can be talking to the dead. You can be doing something with spirit transfer or being in the afterlife. And the key is to not have like this good-bad dichotomy. So no like heaven, hell stuff. I think my best recommendation is The Ghost Bride. Like, you are in the afterlife for a lot of this. It's a Chinese afterlife, so it definitely doesn't have the Western good-bad dichotomy going on there. For me, I'm thinking about Blackwater Sister. I know that she's connected to the spirits in this book. It's also Malaysian. So I said Chinese afterlife for The Ghost Bride, but it takes place in Malaysia. And if you don't know, Malaysia it has a blending of cultures, and this is specifically more the Chinese-Malaysian portion. I don't actually know for Blackwater Sister, but I do think it counts. And it's another book that like has been on my radar and TBR for a really long time. We have Game Changer. Again, if you have a recommendation for me that is not Dungeon Crawler Carl, let me know. But this is a story that features a game or competition, and the protagonist bends or breaks the rules in some way is hard mode. My recommendation to you is Labyrinth's Heart, specifically in the Rook and the Rose trilogy. And am I rereading the Rook and the Rose trilogy right now? Yes. And so is it on my mind? Also yes. But there is a competition, and we are breaking the rules in the competition. I can't say more than that. I'm just really excited to get to it again. So, in my Discord, someone had mentioned We Ride Upon Sticks works. So for now, tentatively, this is on the slot. I think what's tricky for me is I am not drawn to this trope, which is kind of the point of the Reddit bingo board, is to read things outside your comfort zone. But also, especially before reading a book, I just don't know if it counts for the prompt or not, you know? This other one I'm leaving blank. It's Vacation Spot. You're supposed to read a book that is a place you'd like to go on vacation. And yeah, I don't know. It's funny. It's like I have a nonfiction I'll be reading soon that I bet that would work, but this is more of a fantasy sci-fi bingo board. So I'm like, huh. All right. Most of the places I'm going in books doesn't have plumbing, and let me tell you how much I want plumbing wherever I'm going. So I'll have to think on that. See if there's a sci-fi book I read that like speaks to me and isn't too dystopian. I don't know. For short stories, the most recent one I've read, because you can read 5 short stories, which if you're in my Patreon, we do read 2 to 4 stories a month. So if you want to just read a few with us, it's accomplished. We always find the ones that are already available for free. It's kind of fun because we try to read ones that have been nominated for awards, and then we're trying to read ones that are coming out to get ready for award season. It's been a fun, chill time. But if you want to do hard mode, which is an entire anthology or collection, well, I have a lot of videos for a lot of anthologies and collections. Right now, one I've read recently, Seasons of Glass and Iron, easily a 4.5-star collection for me, maybe a 5-star collection. It was really solid. I like this so much more than The River Has Roots, like so much more. I found everyone really exciting to read. I was really engaged the entire way through. I found there was a different forms that you got to play with. I liked that it was kind of like a book in like a decade of the life of the author. The one that I'm planning to read, because I have a whole bunch of short story collections on my shelves, is The Wishing Pool by Tananari Do, because we have a new Tananari Do coming out this year, and one of the short stories in this collection is important background. Number 10 is Older Protagonist, and older is 50 years or older. So I saw some people putting Paladin Souls on lists, and my guys, Ista is 40. She is not 50. It's not the same. Ask any 40 or 50-year-old. Those are not the same ages. Very different. If you're 40, you're like 57 million years away, and if you're 50, you're like, man, I wish I was still 40. Sometimes. Obviously, everyone has different seasons of life, but it's not the same. But ones that I did think would work, because you also, the hard mode is don't have elves, dwarfs, vampires, or gods. And at first I was like, wait, would this count? But then I'm like, oh yes, it does, and that's Buffalo Hunter Hunter. One of the characters doesn't count, but one of them does. I'm like 99% sure he's like in his 60s or something like that, and he's a human. This is great. It's the Stephen Graham Jones from last year. Really liked it. Super quality, revenge, horror. Yeah. I have two tentatively that I'm thinking about here, and I think they both count. Again, haven't read them. Had to do a Google search. Is Google reliable? No. But we have the new Fondly, which is the last contract of Isako, and I think Isako is 50, but no one's read it yet, really, so who's to say if I'm correct? And then I have this book called We Lived on the Horizon, and I couldn't find an age, like, on the internet, but, like, the whole point is this person is about to retire and is tired from decades of work. And if, like, that doesn't scream over 50, I have misread the synopsis of the book. So either of those, I'm hoping, would work. And they're both on my physical TBR/ARCs. And then we have Duology. I'm not going to list off every Duology that I recommend. And the hard mode is simply reading a Duology that you haven't read from that author before. For me, I am going to read Nisi Shaw's Everfair. Because I own the second book and I don't own the first book. Don't ask, it has to do with, like, there was like a Locust fundraiser and they sent me books. So I got the second book, but I haven't read the first one. And although I've read anthologies edited by this author, I have not read a short story or a work by them, I don't think. Or maybe I have. Okay, if I have, I'll find another Duology, because now I'm thinking about it. I think Nisi Shaw had a story and We Will Rise Again. But it's fine, because I can use the second part of this Duology for the other Duology square. It's fine. For you guys, I thought I would just bring up two that I really like. One I haven't talked about probably since 2020, 2021, is An Absolute Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. It's great. Fantastic audiobook. Chances are you've either read this Duology or you haven't, and if you haven't read anything by Hank Green, because he's only written this Duology. Heartless Hunter, also a really good start to a Duology. Like I said, there's like hundreds, absolute hundreds. r/fantasy book club, I'm putting the Everlasting here because apparently they recently had a book club, and if I read it and I go back and I chat in the threads, it counts? I don't know. I am the book club square. I respect that they always have it, and it is always the bane of my existence because I am not good at it. It's a me problem, which is so funny because one of the first online book clubs I went to was r/fantasy bingo, and it was for the Baron the Nightingale. So, like, you know, throwback. Published in 2026, it's an author's first published novel, is hard mode. So for you guys, two that I've read this year that count are City of Others by Jared Poon. Loved it. Easy 4.5 stars. And The Subtle Art of Folding Space by John Chu. Easy 4 stars. It's short. Both, you can't go wrong with either of those. For me, Sublimation by Isabel J. Kim comes out in June. I am beyond pumped. It's on my TBR. I'm hoping to get a copy of it. I love the cover. I love the short story it's based on. I am so seated. I am so ready. For those who don't know the premise, when you leave a country without the intent to return, you split. That's like, and if then that splitting ever touches again, you become one, and like one of them gets replaced. It's very Severance coded, but it also, I think the short story might have come out before Severance, and it has more to do with belonging and identity and like, I don't know. It was just, I loved the short story or novelette. I don't know, the short work so much. I'm so excited. Explorers and Rangers. Characters that travel to investigate a place. Hard mode, they have an animal companion. So Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, that counts. And it's a fun enough time. I have heard that The Isles of Ember Dark by Brandon Sanderson counts, and it's on my physical TBR and in my near future reading plans. So I'm going to do that. So, Duology Part 2. If I like Everfair, I can read its sequel that's on my shelf, or I can read Winged Histories, which is the second book in the Elandria companion world. I'm not actually very good at duologies. I do think duologies are just vastly more common in romantasy and young adult spaces, and that's just not where I'm gravitating towards in series, so I just never know until I'm reading them what'll count. We have one-word title, hard mode, not a proper noun, so my recommendation, Middle Game by Seanan McGuire, because it's still my goat. Oh my god, do I still adore this book. I've read it 3 times. Yeah. And I want to read it again. And there is a new book coming out in this world. I think it's called Inkpot, so that's probably one word. I don't know how good it's going to be, but Middle Game, goated. So good. For me, I just got Witchmark by C.L. Polk, so here it is. Amazing. I don't know what it's about, but I got it from a used bookstore when I was in Chicago, so it's as good as any reason to put it on my TBR. Number 17, a non-human protagonist. Main character is not human, and the hard mode is that there are no humans in the story. The Galaxy and the Ground Within by Becky Chambers, my rare Becky Chambers recommendation. I did actually really like this one. It's in I don't know what that series is called. Wayfair. No, yeah, is that Wayfair series? Is that what it's called? I don't know. It has, that really long way to the Small Angry Planet book, which I have also read. I liked this one. It reminded me of a play, and every person is a different species. So that was really cool. On my list, I have The Cloud Roads by Martha Wells, because I've heard that this works. ? And then I also have tentatively Automatic Noodle by Annalee Newitz, but I would like to use this for a different square, because I'm just banking on this being on the shortlist for the Hugos. I'm just banking on it. I don't know if it will be, but I'm simply banking on it. And if I did like it, I'd get it. This cover is stunning, right? It's so pretty. Middle grade. Read a middle grade book. I like that they had to add a Wikipedia link on the story graph to be here's what a middle grade is. Because I did actually see a lot of people put young adult books on this list. I'm like, all right. And then the hard mode is the author is entirely new to you. And I forgot to go upstairs and grab, I have 2 on my physical TBR from my friend Shannon. So I'll put the images here. These are the 2 that are on my physical TBR. I know nothing about them, but I'll read one of them. My recommendations for you guys, The Last Contista, easily my favorite middle grade that I've read since being an adult. So good. I own it. It's on my shelf, even over there. And then I have Sal and Gabby Breaks the Universe. Adorable. Loved it. Both of those are probably older middle grade, 12-year-olds, but they have also, one of them won the Newbery. I think that was The Last Conquista, and I don't know what awards Sal and Gabby won. But chances are you haven't read Carlos Hernandez, or if you have, you've read Sal and Gabby already. And I think The Last Contista, again, I think that's her only work that most of people who watch my channel would have read if you haven't. So this probably works for hard mode for you. First Contact. Story prominently features interspecies or interracial meetings for the first time, and it's non-violent first contact. So I have 2 options, and I talk about them quite a bit. One is The Lesson by Cadwell Turnbull. I love The Lesson. It's actually more about what happens right after the first contact, 5 years later, but that non-violent emphasis is a big part of the theme. And it's interesting because by nonviolence, we mean we don't have a war. It's not very Independence Day. That doesn't mean violence doesn't occur. And then my other one would be Symbiosis by Sue Burke, where these humans are going to this other planet, and kind of it's this reverse thing of they're the aliens and the sentient creature it interacts with. I really like Symbiosis. One that I found on a list that in theory works for me is Space Opera, but this is another one, so this is Catherine M. Valente. I know nothing about it. I have other Catherine M. Valente I would rather read. So if you have a recommendation for me, sound off in the comments below. 5 more. Murder mystery. The murder is the main thing. Main character is not a detective, is hard mode. My recommendations for you, A Memory Called Empire and The Raven Scholar. Both of those work. In A Memory Called Empire, our main character is an ambassador. And in The Raven Scholar, she's a scholar. For me, I have Hermitant Season by Tochi Anibuchi that I just bought that I saw worked. And I did pick it up because it kind of gave me that noir vibe of like, there's going to be a thing that happens that we have to solve, even though it's not our job. So, you know, I think that one works. And then there was like a Paladins book by T. Kingfisher that people said counted. So I tentatively put that there. Our next category, Cat Squasher, which my cats don't appreciate the name of, but 500 pages or more, or hard mode 900 pages or more. I don't think you need my help for recommendations here, but if you want to know a series that I really love is the Dandelion Dynasty, and the last 2 books are both chonkers. So there's that. I don't know what I'm doing for this one. Maybe I'll use my reread for a Malazan, because I think those are like the really big ones that I've been reading this year. If something else happens, something else happens. I read long books. I'm not super fussed about this. Feast your eyes on this. Food or meal is significant to the story's plot, and the hard mode is you have to try and make the food to the best of your ability, which excited me. So my recommendation, again, Veiled Throne in the Dandelion Dynasty. There's a whole, like, bake-off inspired cooking competition. The subtle art of folding space. One of the characters, the way that they check if the universe is healthy is by making food, and it's delicious Chinese food, let me tell you. Automatic Noodle is tentatively going to be mine, because again, just banking on reading this book in the next year because it'll be on award lists. And then someone did put forth The Wizard Guides of Defensive Baking, which is a young adult work by T. Kingfisher that I haven't read yet, that a lot of people adore, and I assume there's baking in it, and I love to bake, so sure. 23, published in the 70s and hard modes by a woman. For me, I'll just read another Le Guin. I think I'm going to try the tree one. So The World is Forest or something. Now, Butler is an option. The first Butler came out in 1976, and it's called Pattern Master. And I have a whole Patternist series review, and I actually do think a fascinating way to read that series would be to read Pattern Master and then go back to Wild Seed. Pattern Master is the furthest along in the chronology, but Wild Seed is the earliest in the chronology, and I just think that would be interesting. Ending with Pattern Master feels kind of lackluster. It's a debut work. It doesn't really go towards anything, so you feel like everything you've been reading, it must be leading somewhere, but it's more just like a moment in time in this universe. So that's my recommendation. Politics and Court Intrigue. I think I have one tentatively. Again, I have 2 on my TBR that kind of work. Again, if you have stuff that might work for me, feel free. But these are politics are central to the story's plot. Covers everything from royalty, elections, wars, to smaller local politics. And the hard mode is focused on a city or lower level. Some people said Harmattan Season by Tochi Anibuchi should work. I'm wondering if We Are the Horizon would work. So if people have other recommendations, let me know. Maybe I should read another China Miéville. Would that work? I already read The City in the City. So, like, that already happened. But my recommendation, The City in the City, that's very city politics coded. But also, have I already talked about The Mask of Mirrors? The Rook and the Rose? It's amazing. It's all about Nadezhra, which is a city. It's all about the politics of Nadezhra. And, like, here's the thing. It's not going to work for everyone. But if you are someone who that this series would work for, you will be so happy for the rest of your life. Like, truly, if it works for you, it's just like, I am rereading it now. I've read The Mask of Mirrors 4 times. It has never not satisfied me. I am now currently in my reread of The Liar's Knot. It's so good. I've read it physically. I have read it with audiobooks. These are the only audiobooks I have purchased with the intention of re-listening to them. So anyways, so good. Last Square, author of Color, story written by a person of color, and the person needs to not live in the US, UK, Canada, Australia, or New Zealand. And so I went to South America, and I believe this author lives in Ecuador, so I have Jawbone. If she no longer lives in Ecuador, I will pick a different author who lives in a different country and go from there. But I will probably go to South America for this square for myself, because I am always trying to read works by South American authors, and Jawbone seems horror, speculative, so it would work. For you guys, you know, I already gave you a Mariana Enriquez. She would work for this. She's from Argentina. So yeah, thank you for being patient with my voice. I'm sorry if it's not as strong as normal. Gotta hate colds and allergy season, man. But I'm excited for this round of Reddit bingo. And again, any recommendations you have, feel free to list them down below. I'll link to the original Reddit post and the Storygraph challenge, and you're always welcome in my Discord where we have a lot of things pinned. And if you just want to leave an emoji to let me know you're here, leave a food emoji of your choice, because the food prompt I think is quite fun. And otherwise, like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.